Good day, everyone. My name is Mary Catherine Moscosa, and today I am going to discuss to you my report entitled Incorporating Self Assessment and Peer Assessment Across Subjects. So, as we continue our discussion, please prepare your notes and listen attentively as we explore some interesting topics for today. So for our objectives for today, at the end of the lesson, the students are expected to define the significance of self-assessment and peer assessment in enhancing student learning and skill development across all subjects. And for S is to demonstrate the benefits of self-assessment and peer assessment through a structured feedback activity. And A is to justify the critical role of self-assessment and peer assessment in fostering independent learning and collaboration. So when we say self-assessment, what comes up to your mind? Let me know in the comment section. Now let's find out first what is self-assessment. Self-assessment is defined as a process where students are directed to assess their performance against predetermined standard criteria and involves the students in goal setting and more informal, dynamic self-regulation and self-reflection. Self-assessment is when students look at their own work and check if it meets the certain goals or criteria that's set by the teacher. And students see if their work matches the rules or criteria given by the teacher. Students decide what they want to achieve and plan. Self-assessment can be used at the beginning, during, and after the lesson to set goals, monitor progress, and reflect on learning. Students think about what they did well and what they can do better next time. In short, self assessment helps students review their own work, set personal goals, and figure out how to improve. Now, let's find out how to incorporate self assessment across subjects. For the first one, self assessment prompts for students. So you can incorporate self assessment into almost any assessment task, either when or after students submit their assignments or activities. So RACE 2001 suggests that structuring the self assessment by prompting students, for example, by asking them, what do you think is a fair grade for the work you have handed in? And why do you think so? What did you do best in this assessment task? What did you do least well in this assessment task? And what did you find was the hardest part? What was the most important thing you have learned in doing this assessment task? So, in short, self assessment prompts encourage students to take an active role in evaluating their own work. This process helps them develop critical thinking and self reflection skill, identify the strength of areas of improvement, and understand their learning more deeply. For the second one is the self-assessment in group work. So by analyzing students' self-assessment responses, I can identify their strengths, areas of improvement, and specific challenges. Self-assessment can focus on aspects of a task that only the student can comment on, such as their contribution to teamwork and the collaborative production of a group's outputs. So when students are allowed to do this, they see it as reducing the task of being judged unfairly. This means that when students assess their own contribution to group work, especially things like how they work with others or what they added to the group final product, they feel it fair because they have the chance to explain their role and effort, which helps them improve feeling unfairly judged by others. For the third one is the self-assessment of class participation. Assessing students' participation in class discussions and activities is often seen as an overly subjective process. So, if students can see that you value their own perception of the quality of their own work and their peers' contributions, they are likely to become more active in the classroom. Combining self and peer assessment with tutor assessments makes for a more reliable grade. So grading students on how they participate in class can seem unfair because it's based on personal opinions. But if students know that their own views, as well as to ensure accuracy, I can provide clear criteria for self-assessment, encourage honest reflection, and cross-check with peer assessments and my observations of group interactions. Their peers' views are taken into account. They'll likely participate more. So when teacher combines self-assessment and peer assessment and their own assessments, the final grade tends to be more accurate and fair. For the fourth one is the rubrics. So rubrics are a self-assessment technique used by teachers during the teaching process. Rubrics provide students with the criteria dimensions that demonstrate the expectation of tasks assigned to them and the description of the performance levels for each dimension in their work and setting learning goals and strategies to achieve in the future. So for the fifth, green, yellow, red. So the assessment cards include green, yellow, and red light assessment cards, which are intended to be used for self assessment. So every student will be given three cards, one per color. For the red, represent that the student is slow or requires assistance in the given area. And yellow indicates that student is gradually changing or is doing well. Green means that student is comfortable with the result or task done and probably finish it. So for the last one, exit flip. So an exit flip is a great way to quickly gauge students' understanding at the end of the lesson. It gives you a snapshot of how will students understand today's lesson. For example, what is one key concept or idea you have learned today? What is one question or point of confusion you still have about the lessons? So overall, these self-assessment techniques empower students to take an active role in learning, provide valuable insight into their progress, and help teachers tailor their individual needs. Now let's proceed to the peer assessment. So Reinhold's 2015 defined peer assessment as a set of activities through which individuals make judgments about the work of others. Now, how to incorporate peer assessment across subjects? So the key steps to successfully implement peer assessment are: number one, identify the learning activity for which peer assessment could be useful. How can you select and design learning activities that are most suitable for peer assessment? For example, peer assessment is effective when applied to activities that require problem solving, research and questioning, application of learning, reflective judgment, and critical thinking. So, for problem solving, example, students work in pairs to solve a math word problem. After solving, they exchange their work with another pair to check each other's solutions and discuss different strategies they use. For the application of learning, example, after a science lesson on the water cycle, students create diagrams showing the process. They review each other diagrams, offering feedback on accuracy and clarity. For the second one is the establish the evaluation criteria. So this will guide the students in their evaluations and ensure that all activities or assignments are evaluated under the same rules. Sample. For the guiding question, what to evaluate? Now, decide what aspect of the work students should focus on when evaluating. For example, should they assess the accuracy of the content, the quality of the work, or how well the topics are analyzed, or something else? For example, for the elementary students, so if the assignment is a book review, students might evaluate how well their peers summarize the story, how clearly they explained the main idea, and how neat their presentation is. So for number two, when to evaluate. So determine when the peer assessment will happen. Will students evaluate each other work after the final version is submitted, or will be ongoing assessments throughout the project? For example, in elementary students, if the project is science experiment, So students might assess their peers' work during the planning stage, after the experiment, and once the final report is submitted. So for the third one, establish basic rules of peer assessments. So what strategies can you use to ensure that students consistently follow the established rules for providing constructive and respectful feedback during peer assessments? So, establishing ground rules that regulate the way in which feedback is framed and delivered will help to build trust in who is being assessed and in the evaluator. For example, for a good feedback practice is number one, for every negative comment, a positive comment is offered. Number two is to avoid discriminatory language. Number three is to keep feedback constructive rather than critical. Five is to make sure the student understand the activity, the assessment criteria, and the tools used to carry out the peer assessment. One way to verify that students have understood the activity and established criteria is through a practice round before applying the planned assessment. So, in conclusion, self and peer assessments reinforce the self regulated learning atmosphere that positively impacts student learning, especially because they allow students or learners to match and aim their work with predetermined standards. So I hope you understand my discussion for today, class. So I hope you also take down the important notes in your book or in your notebook. So that's all from my discussion for today. So I hope you learned something from me. Thank you.